with that, I will just switch to my other screen here. So we've got a little video here which I'm going to step through, which shows again the initial intake of the agent. So an interaction with an underwriter. So the journey here is an underwriter will receive an email with a series of attachments. We're taking the attachment here, uploading it into the agent, and we're going to initiate the intake here. And what's happening in the background is the Teams bot is calling out to effectively an API, so an endpoint, which initiates that orchestration. In the background, it's looking at extracting all the information from the document, which contains information again on the proposal customer, key information around the accounts. What you'll see in a second here as well is the bank use SharePoint as their document repository. So rather than the underwriter having to drag and drop all of these documents into a single repository for a customer, the agent takes the action to replicate the document on the underwriter's behalf. I'll just speed this up so we can get to that in a second. You see here the agent has taken the document, created the directory structure for the customer as well. And again, this stood out as being a key friction point for the underwriters, because they were having to distract themselves effectively from actually doing the underwriting and doing maintenance of the repository within SharePoint. So the agent's taken on that responsibility. It's actually processing the checks now, so it's going out to company's house, again looking at the director within the company accounts, looking for anything that doesn't look although it looks unusual on the account. Maybe the director is part of a number of dissolved companies, which could be a risk indicator. So it's doing that. We'll just fast forward in a second, and we should see the agent within a couple of minutes. So it's going away. It's doing quite a bit in the background here. It's actually making a decision now as to whether the bank should lend on this outcome. And what we will see in a second is really the output of the agent. So what we intentionally did here was to use adaptive cards within Teams to give a structured output of the agent. So rather than a huge paragraph of text, we've structured it in a predictable way so the underwriting team can drill into the key aspects of the output of the agent. So we can see here it's given again the link back to the SharePoint file. It's been able to run a set of rules, deterministic rules within the agent, and a agent assisted summary. So what the underwriter can do here is they can look at this recommendation, and based on the output, they can either decline the intake and go straight back to the customer and say, look, we don't want to lend on, we don't want to lend on the credit based on your proposal, or the underwriter can proceed to the next step of the process, which is the credit grading, which is effectively the next set of responsibilities. That sort of concludes the demo here. I'm going to switch over now and show you a bit around the implementation.
So Chris, just one thing. I mean, you highlighted that in Teams. This can be done in any number of different tools, right? You can actually build this UI interface.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, again, interoperability with different interfaces. It could be Slack. Any tool as interaction. Yeah. So this is what we've exposed to Teams. It's effectively a pipeline which orchestrates the initial request from the Teams environment, the attachment. So it's able to take the attachment from Teams that's been uploaded and initiate the process. So we're going to pick out a few sort of key bits within this pipeline that I think are important to call out here. So firstly is the lookup. So we talk about statefulness and having agents be aware of the context of some of the actions that they're operating on. So we've built a set of tools that reach out to their internal systems to help understand, again, if it's an existing proposal, are they reinitiating a proposal, to take it forward based on some amendments, or is it a net new proposal? So we have various steps in there to do those checks. Also, there's various steps here to again handle different file types. So you'll see down here, the user can actually upload the entirety of the email. You saw in the demo, it was an individual PDF document. What the underwriter is also able to do is drag and drop the email into the Teams bot, and the bot will actually extract multiple attachments and be able to handle the different file types there. So what it's doing is performing some OCR on those files, so extracting key information. And we want to make sure that information is mapped to a defined schema. So how effectively CCB see the structure of a customer. So what we've done here is inform the agent with that schema, those key value pairs around the customer proposal, the assets, and it helps orient the agent around, again, that predefined structure that it can use to map the information that it needs effectively. So this is the orchestration driver. There's various other steps here to hand off information to audit logs, but the intake agent is what we saw here. This is doing a lot of the work, again, around pulling out key information. This is the prompt to the LLM. So again, setting out an instruction to the agent to behave in a certain way. So we're giving it some context on its responsibilities here. We've broken that down, provided the context that you saw a second ago around the intake fields, the files, some of the definitions on the field names, the execution workflow, etc. So quite a lengthy prompt, but it encapsulates the scope of that first agent. You'll see here as well the output of the call to the LLM. We're asking it to return a structured output. So again, we get a bit of predictability on the structure of the data, and a lot of this information can then easily be mapped into a database, an end system to store the output, and also, as we saw a second ago, visually within Teams as well. So I won't go through everything. It's quite a complex set of agents, but we've had it in production now for a period of time, and it's starting to deliver a lot of value. In terms of some of the outcomes that we've seen with this agent, we've been able to reduce that 48-hour turnaround for a proposal down to around 30 to 45 minutes end to end. So it's significant time saving there, and unlock for the bank as a whole.